Hey everyone, welcome to a special episode for End of Life University podcast. I'm recording this today because I've been hearing from a lot of people who are absolutely heartbroken over the fact that they have loved ones who are ill or injured in a hospital somewhere or a nursing home or perhaps even an inpatient hospice, and they're not able to be physically present with their loved ones. And for all of us who do teaching about the end of life, most of our teaching centers around being able to be present, to be in the same room at the bedside, holding hands and touching and hugging our loved one and telling them face to face how much we love them. No matter whether they're going through a terminal illness or something they will recover from, it's our nature to want to be with them. Of course, it's natural and normal that we would want to be there. And so the times we're experiencing right now because of coronavirus mean of necessity we cannot be with those we love when they're going through these difficult times. And there are multiple reasons for that. One of them being the fact that we don't have enough tests for everyone to be tested to find out if they might be carrying the virus. Some of us are carrying it and don't know it because we don't have symptoms. Without those tests, we can't be sure that someone coming in as a visitor to the hospital is free of the virus. We might be allowing a visitor to come who would end up spreading it to every patient in the hospital or the nursing home. In days past, we used to be able to provide visitors with personal protective equipment, with masks and goggles and gowns and gloves that would prevent them from spreading anything that they were carrying to a vulnerable patient. But because we have a shortage of all of those items as well, we don't have enough to go around for our essential healthcare providers. The healthcare system cannot afford to provide them for visitors right now. And so those are reasons why visitors are just not being allowed into facilities. I know it's heartbreaking. I feel the ache for everyone who is sitting at home worrying and wondering about a loved one and longing to be there and feeling injured in some ways, traumatized and deprived of the opportunity to be with someone they love at a difficult time like this. So how are we to cope with it? We are in an unprecedented time when we have no control over what's happening. There's simply no way that we can change these circumstances. And so we have no choice but to accept it and to try to make the most of it as best we can. We have to figure out how we can live with these broken hearts of ours and how we can rise up to do the best possible thing with our time and our energy and our love. And so as I thought about this, I remembered the fact that back in World War II, when my dad was in the army in France, he was injured and was hospitalized in an army hospital in France. And meanwhile, my mother, who was his fiancée, was back at home at her parents' house, not knowing whether or not my dad was okay. She had to wait weeks and weeks before she got any information. She had to sit with the uncertainty and with not knowing what was happening. Is he alive? Is he dead? Is he going to be okay? Will he be himself again when he's released from the hospital? She didn't really even know the extent of his injuries, only that he was in the hospital. And so I thought about the fact that in that time, communication was so much more difficult during the war. I thought about the days and weeks that people at home had to wait to get news about their loved ones who were abroad fighting in the war. And the amount of patience and tolerance and acceptance that it took for those people here while they waited and watched for information to come. And I think In a way, that's what we're being called to do now, even though we actually have access to much more information than they did. We can actually get phone calls from the hospital from our loved ones. We can actually see them over Zoom or Skype or FaceTime. We can actually hear reports from doctors and nurses who are in the rooms with our loved ones. So we're not totally without information. We're simply being deprived of sharing physical space with our loved ones. And then I remembered reading a story in the newspaper about an ER doctor who was caring for an elderly patient. And the man he was caring for had been a teacher and talked to him about his teaching career. And the ER doctor said to him, "You know, while you're here in the hospital, we are your family." And then he said, "I'm going to admit you to the intensive care unit, but my friend is the doctor there, and she will be your family too." And I love this reassurance, and I think it can be reassuring for all of us to recognize that our loved ones are not totally alone and neglected and ignored. In fact, the hospital staff know that every one of our patients are without visitors. They know that you can't be there with them. They understand it, and they feel the pain and the heartache of it as well. And to the best of their ability, they are becoming the family for our loved ones. And so I think that's another thing that we can take some comfort in. And I look back at the story of my dad during World War II being in the hospital, and him saying that as he was laying there, he knew that my mother was sending him love. He knew that she cared about him. He knew that she was watching and waiting for him. He felt surrounded by that love every moment that he was in the hospital. And he was sending love back to her as well, that she would be okay, that she would be able to tolerate this time of waiting and watching, and that it wouldn't do her harm. And so that gives me a lot of hope that we don't have to be in the same physical space as our loved ones to love them, to send amazing, beautiful, supportive, caring love to them. We can still love our family members and our friends from a distance. And this is our opportunity to practice that and to get really good at it. And knowing that many people are suffering and longing for something to do, some way to enact their love and caring for their loved ones in the hospital, I decided to create a vigil that we could perform together. And that's what I have recorded, which will follow this little introduction, a little ritual ceremony to go through of sitting vigil on behalf of our loved ones. I have typed the script that I used for this vigil, and it's available on the show notes at eolupodcast.com if you would like to download or print it out so that you would have it in case you'd like to use parts of it for your own vigil or ritual in the future. But for now, I invite you to join me and listen in to this vigil for our loved ones at a distance. I hope that it's helpful to you. I hope that it helps your heart heal in some ways, that it helps you stay present, stay loving, stay hopeful, and stay kind. Today is the 9th day of April 2020. On the 9th of each month, communities are invited to hold space for reflection on life, death, and transformation during this time of a worldwide pandemic. And so I invite you to join me in a vigil today and on the 9th day of each coming month. A vigil is a time of watching and waiting together in prayer, meditation, or contemplation when life is uncertain and the future is unknown. To participate fully in this vigil, you may want to have available a small bowl or basin of water, a towel, and a candle and lighter. You may pause the recording here if you like, or you can just keep listening. Today we come together in this vigil to hold space for all of those we love but cannot be near, and for all who care for our beloveds in their time of sickness. We'll begin with 3 deep breaths. Breathe in and out. In and out. In and out. And now we will use our basin of water to wash our hands in a ritual fashion, which is especially poignant right now because washing our hands is one of the greatest acts of love we can perform for ourselves and also for those around us in terms of protecting us from the virus. And so please repeat after me this blessing for washing hands by Trisha Arlen as you wash your hands. As we wash our hands, we pray. Blessed is the soul of the universe, breathing us in and breathing us out. May our breaths continue and our health and the health of all be preserved in this time of sickness and fear of sickness. And now I invite you to join me in lighting a candle. May this light illuminate the darkness for all who are in pain, for all who work to alleviate the pain of others, for all who watch and wait in the uncertainty of these days. In a poem, Rainer Maria Rilke wrote, "Like cloud shapes torn and molded by the wind, the world is being changed, and rapidly. No one ought ever love their suffering, but no one ever loves without its pain. And as we die, we come to wondering if there was something we could not yet see, that winged thing that merges with earth's suffering to make us what we otherwise would never be." The world is being changed rapidly before our eyes, and we cannot stop it. We are learning day after day that it is possible to live and survive what we had previously never imagined. We are in a liminal space between what we knew before and what is coming in the future. Placing our hands together over our hearts, we hold space here for all that is being changed and all that will be born of this time of uncertainty. We send our limitless love to those who are alone in sickness and pain, especially our loved ones whom we cannot be near. Breathing in, we fill our hearts with love. Breathing out, we radiate that love in every direction to all who need it right now. Please continue breathing love in and out for as long as you like as we meditate or pray together. Having come together in this vigil for our ill-loved ones who are distant from us, we now prepare to return to our daily lives. Repeat after me. As we go forth, may we remember that the heart's capacity for love is infinite, and love is not limited by time or space. May we be aware of the invisible bonds of love that surround and protect our beloveds wherever they may be. May all care providers be held in the same loving embrace and imbued with the knowledge and strength to give compassionate service to all their patients. May we know that we too are surrounded by love in our time of separation and pain. Blessings to you as you go forward.